Okay, let's try this again. Last year didn't count. That wasn't COTA last year. They raced at some rainy circuit that looked like COTA. But this is the first road course race of the season at dry COTA, hopefully. Um, so yeah, let's get immediately into it. For the truck race, not really much to talk about. What's your typical road course race with um, comers and goers, pit strategies. Um, Now, something that really caught my attention was a lot of guys going to the rear for the truck race. This was 14 trucks. Some notable names being Matt DiBenedetto, Matt Crafton, Sheldon Creed, Kaz Grala. There were also a few mechanical failures at the start. Sheldon Creed, who started from the pole but had to go to the rear because of some pre-race inspection failure. I think he had some trouble with an issue with the drivetrain that caused him to drop out early. He finished last, by the way. Ty Majeski, he also had a problem with his hood before the green flag came out. This was during the pace laps. He was able to continue, unlike Creed. Stage 1 was pretty tame. It was under green again. Something that really was a theme for the weekend. It felt like stage 1 and stage 2 were going by pretty fast, and then in stage 3 everything just went to hell. But that was pretty much what we saw in every single race. So for the truck race, Saint Smith won stage 1, and I still wish that NASCAR got rid of the stage yellows for road courses. Like, if you wanna, I get that NASCAR, like this playoff thing with stage points and playoff points, that's a thing. So my compromise is you gotta award stage points, but then don't throw the yellow. Even short cautions, like short yellows, they're awfully long because you gotta make a lap around. That's like enough time for Fox to have a commercial break or two. A network like Fox to go into commercial break, into several commercial breaks. So, yeah, a lap around COTA under caution, it takes honestly 5 or 6 minutes, maybe less than that, but that's how much I feel it takes. So, also another thing that really messes up those stage cautions is the pit strategy going. Let the cautions happen naturally within the flow of the race, because then by throwing cautions, not only does it messes up the flow of the race, but it also puts the race in a situation of, cautions breed cautions. Sometimes all it takes is just one yellow for all hell to break loose. Now stage 2 was more action-packed. We saw more short track racing thing on a road course, especially in the truck series, which is pretty typical when you put a lot of young, inexperienced guys. Even with practice and qualifying, these guys still don't have much experience, much less on a road course like COTA. We saw a lot of incidents. John Hunter Nemechek got turned by Zane Smith. Matt Crafton, Chase Purdy, he turned Matt Crafton around. I think he was because he locked the brakes up, and then that kind of caused a caution where Crafton had to get towed because he was in a gravel trap, I believe. Then in the very next restart, Crafton got into Purdy and he spun him out. So I guess that's what happened. Saint Smith ended up sweeping both stages, so he becomes the 7th different driver to sweep both stages this season across all 3 series. In the truck series, he is only the 3rd driver after John Hunter Nemechek at Daytona and Ben Rhodes at Las Vegas. So it's been 3 of the first 4 truck series races that we've seen one driver sweep both stages. The only difference is that these 2 guys the first 2 guys failed to win the race. So, could Saint Smith get it done? We'll see. We'll talk about that later. Um, because in the stage 3 restart, it all went south for Saint Smith immediately because he got spun out by Christian Eckes during stage 3. But again, like I said, because stage 3 was caution filled and a lot of late cautions, kind of put the race on like a hodgepodge of whoever could make it in. Saint Smith was able to make up some ground. Also, the fact that he pitted for fresh tires, it kind of also helped since, he had nothing to lose. He got already gotten spun out. Might as well, you don't have any track position, so might as well pit for tires and make a rally to the front. Of course, that several cautions helped. Among those involved in accidents, there was Hailie Deegan, who once again cannot seem to catch a break. She entered this race 32nd, not in driver points, but 32nd in owner points. Like the truck she drives, the one truck, it entered 32nd in owner points. And I believe she has to qualify on, I don't know how, I think it's top 25 who qualify in owner points. I don't really know for the truck series. I don't know if it's top 25 or top 30. I really gotta check, but it seems like to me like Hailie Deegan, she's not in a very good position to where she considers herself safe for every race. Like she is gonna have to qualify on time now for every race, or else she's gonna fail to qualify. Like she cannot rely on the owner points anymore because doesn't look like she's in owner points position. This race, with another bad finish, this really doesn't help her. This really doesn't help her case either. A top 20 run would have been great, but once again, it seems like she cannot catch a break. It seems like more than last season, she's been caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's been the theme of her season so far. She definitely needed a good day, and this is not going to help. Eventually, the race went into double overtime, and the leaders started getting tight on fuel. But fortunately, nobody ran out, even though Kyle Busch, who was the leader at the time, he said that during the overtime restart, he kind of ran out of fuel, that the car was kind of sputtering on him. He still managed to cross the line under his own power. He finished third. But he could have had the race for himself, honestly, because on the final restart, Kyle Busch was leading. He actually led the majority of the race. I know he led stage 3. He led much of stage 3. But during one of the corners, I believe it was turn 11, I think, he took the corner wide. I thought he blew the corner at first, but it turns out he was taking the corner wide so he could have a better corner exit and hopefully hold off Stuart Friesen and Alex Bowman, who was also running the truck race, getting some experience for the Cup race. Apparently, Stuart Friesen and Alex Bowman decided that it was a great timing, a great moment to, both of them decide to dive bomb and take it 3 wide into the corner. It was already bad that Friesen did that, but the fact that Alex Bowman did it as well, and the 3 of them just went all the way, and the 3 of them just go way off the racetrack, and Saint Smith, who was running 4th, he had already rallied back from, I believe, 25th to 4th with however many cautions stage 3 was. Those final few laps were. Saint Smith, man, they just gave away the win to Saint Smith. It was a great comeback from getting spun out, though. And like I said, Saint Smith, he sweeps both stages, and he wins the race. The first driver in this season across all 3 series to actually do this. So, good job for him. Front Row Motorsports has a great road course program, at least as far as the truck series is concerned, with Todd Gilliland. Although in the Cup Series they also have Michael McDowell, but especially in the Truck Series, if you remember last year, they won the inaugural race at COTA with Todd Gilliland, and now once again that team with Zane Smith, they are repeat winners at COTA. So good for them. Other highlights I like to mention: Brad PreRace. He made his debut. I love his story. I read up on his story on how he was a mechanic. I think it was like, I don't know if he was involved in this Drive for Diversity program, because I know he is like a minority driver and stuff, but he got his shot at NASCAR, at driving a stock car for the first time during an ARCA race. I believe it was at Watkins Glen, but I love his story. I read up on it and it was great. He finished in the top 20, which, made me really happy. And the Fox, I don't really talk about the Fox booth because, the Truck Series, meh. But I feel like it was fair to mention Andy Lally. He was actually all right in the booth. He made Michael Waltrip a bit more tolerable, although it felt to me for parts of the race, it felt like Andy Lally was just carrying the entire booth and doing some of the play-by-play with helping Vince Welch do some of the play-by-play, which honestly, it's really not that big of a deal to me, because the less I listen to Vince Welch and Michael Waltrip, the better it is for me, because it is, in my humble opinion, that those two are, I'm not gonna say that they're bad commentators, but they're not good either. There are definitely many better commentators than these two. But yeah, I mean, truck race was pretty good. Great start to the weekend. Now, of course, when the Busch, Alex Bowman incident happened, a lot of people once again took to NASCAR Twitter saying, "Oh, Alex Bowman, once again, he's such a hack," and stuff like that, And I'm not surprised about it. I mean, Alex Bowman has been a driver that in the past few weeks has garnered some sort of a bad rep, and unfairly so, because of his perceived tendency to quote unquote back into or lock into a race win, which is a narrative that I do not believe in. I believe that narrative of Alex Bowman being lucky is stupid as hell. Although, to be fair, this incident, I cannot really defend Alex Bowman that much for this incident. The only thing I can say that in Alex Bowman's defense is that, well, maybe if Busch didn't take that corner wide, then Stuart Friese and Alex Bowman wouldn't have used that opportunity to try and pass him. Although, to be fair, Busch didn't expect them to. Although, to be fair, Busch did not expect Stuart Friesen or Alex Bowman to pass him at that specific part of the track. They could have made their move like on a later sector of the track, because, to be fair, not many passes are done on that. On that section of the track, like turns 11 and 12, where Bowman and Friesen made their dive bombs. It's not really a big. It's not really a place where you will expect drivers to make their big moves. Like, maybe Busch didn't expect Bowman or Friesen to dive bomb, and Busch probably thought he was safe. Of course, he wasn't. Although, at the same time, I do not blame Bowman or Friesen for making those moves, because, I mean, you're going up against Busch, and if you wait too long to make your move, then by the time you have made up your mind, Busch will have pulled away and won the race. So, again, when it comes to Busch, if he leaves a window of opportunity open, you gotta take it, because you never know when you're gonna have that. So, yeah, it didn't work out for Stuart Friesen. It didn't work out especially for Alex Bowman, because I believe he had a tire up and he had a flat tire that he didn't finish in the top 5. He slipped down all the way down to I believe he finished 25th, so that move didn't work out for him. So yeah, it was kind of a bit of a bonehead move on Alex Bowman's part. However, I'm not gonna hold it against him because he even went to Kyle Busch and apologized. And again, this is something that once again pissed me off because when there was this video circulating around NASCAR circles on about Alex Bowman just apologizing to Kyle Busch, and all of a sudden people are just some body language gurus. They're just examining Kyle Busch's body language under a microscope, and they're saying, "Oh, Kyle Busch, he didn't look at Bowman in the eyes. He's such a jerk. He didn't accept his apology. Ugh, what a jerk. This is why I hate Kyle Busch." See, and once again, and to that I say, well, where is this with other drivers? Why do you only say this when it comes to Kyle Busch, but when everybody else, but if it was somebody else, like, you know what I mean? When it comes to Kyle Busch, people are just so into examining his behavior and stuff under a microscope because of the reputation he has. No other driver gets this treatment, aside from maybe Joey Logano. I say maybe because I really haven't seen a lot of people like talk shit about Joey Logano. That was more like a few years ago, but when it comes to Kyle Busch, like a lot of people, when some video of Kyle Busch is coming out of him having a discussion with a driver, people just look at his body language and they just come to the conclusion that, oh, he's such a jerk and a dirty person. And once again, I say to you, it's not that deep. That's just how Kyle Busch is. That's just his persona. I don't think that's how he is. Come on, people, it's not that deep. Now for the Xfinity race, I kind of expected this race to be pretty similar to the Truck Series race, but I was definitely wrong. This race was more entertaining than the truck race was, at least until the end. You know, the finish was a bit more underwhelming, but the start especially, the moment the green flag flew, it got really messy. All of the JR Motorsports cars especially, they just kind of imploded in the first two laps. You had Noah Gragson turning Justin Allgaier, he spun out, and then Josh Berry and Miguel Paludo, they got into incidents of their own. I know Josh Berry, he had damage in the front end of the car, so he had to go and make repairs on that. Ty Gibbs started on the pole, but he didn't lead any laps, as a matter of fact, because the moment he got into the pole, the moment the race started, he just lost the lead to Ross Chastain, and from that point on, it was him, Ty Gibbs, Cole Custer, and AJ Allmendinger battling for the lead. Allmendinger, with a little help of some of the front runners going into some pit strategy, splitting the stages, as the broadcast booth like to call it, he won stage one. And I gotta say, watching Allmendinger wheel it on road courses is such a treat to watch. He always puts on a show. He always puts on an absolute masterclass in these road courses. A lot of underdogs scored stage points. That's something that really caught my eye. Preston Pardus driving the number 91. There was Alex Labbe as well, his teammate. Jeremy Clements, Jade Buford, Parker Chase, who I believe is making his Xfinity Series debut this weekend. He was driving the 26 for Sam Hunt, another small team. And Parker Kligerman, who was doing double duty with the Truck Series. He was running the 35 for Joey Gase. He also scored some stage points for that team as well. So that was great to see. Stage two, stage two is where the front runners started getting into more troubles. We saw a lot of problems for We saw Ty Gibbs getting spun out, I believe. Bubba Wallace, who was also running this Xfinity race to get some experience for the Cup race, because it seems like he struggles a lot on road courses. He got a transmission. He suffered from transmission issues while running in the top 10, and this really, it was really sad because he had like a top 5 car to me. He had like a car capable of finishing in like top 5, top 10. So the fact that he went down with transmission issues was really bad, but at least he got experience for the road course race in the Cup Series the next day. Cole Custer, he sped on his green flag pit stop, so he had to serve he didn't serve a pass-through penalty. He served a tail end of the longest line penalty because his pit stop happened at the end of towards the end of stage 2, I believe, during the final. He went into pit road just before the leader crossed the start finish line for 2 to go, which is when pits close. Noah Gragson, he had an engine issue that fortunately didn't amount to anything, but he also was feeling nauseous inside the car. I don't know where that ended up, but fortunately, I don't think it ended up affecting him that much because he ended up finishing the race in the top 5. So good for him on managing to hold on strong if that was really bothering him. So with all of the shuffling and the lead becoming this revolving door thanks to pit strategy, Sam Mayer ended up winning stage 2. Once again, another young driver that has been in kind of a shaky start this season, getting some much needed stage points. And Sam Mayer is one guy that I believe he will struggle right out of the gate, but as the season goes on, he will get better. And finishes like this, where he ended up finishing in the top 5 and winning stage 2. So it was a huge points day for him. Days like this, I believe we're gonna see Sam Mayer finishing more top 10, competing for stage wins more often as the season goes on. But right now, I still expect him to have a bit of growing pains. So days like this, or races like this during the first half of the season are gonna be key for him to stay afloat in this playoff battle. Other drivers that scored stage points in stage 2 were up front the underdogs. Sage Karam, this is his second straight week driving for the Tommy Joe Martin's team, Alpha Prime Racing. He scores some stage points as well. Just like last week at Atlanta, he also scored stage points in stage 2. Scott Heckard also scored stage points. I believe he finished 10th. He was driving the number 5 for BJ McLeod. And Jade Buford, once again, the number 48, manages to score stage points as well. And on that note, I just want to give a shout out to Jade Buford. With all of those AJ Allmendingers, Sam Mayer, and Ross Chastain, as good of days as those guys had running up front, it's always the smaller guys that stick out to me. And this afternoon, it was Jade Buford. So he is definitely the driver of the day to me. He scored stage points in both stages, finishing the top 10 in both stages, and he brought it home cleanly in the top 10. So that's definitely something to celebrate for that Big Machine 48 team. So stage 3 eventually became a battle of Allmendinger versus Ross Chastain, who was his closest competitor by far. The battle, I would have enjoyed this battle for the lead more because it looked for a few moments like Chastain had the better of Allmendinger, but every time Chastain tried to make a move on him, there was always a caution that happened, either for debris caution or something. I don't know. And I gotta say, why is debris a full course caution? Why is a debris caution why does a debris warrant a full course caution on a road course like like COTA, which is a big and long racetrack. Why can't we have local yellows like they do in other racing series? Why do they have to make it so different in NASCAR? Like, I get it, if a car is like trapped on the gravel or stalled on the track, they have to throw a caution for that. I understand that. There was a few instances of that throughout the weekend. But if it's for debris, why not just throw a local yellow and be done with it? You don't have to throw an entire caution just to remove a single piece of debris on one section of the racetrack, just to stop the race for 2 to 3 laps and for Fox to go on a commercial break or two. It's just stupid. Anyways, mini rant aside, in one of those late restarts, Ross Chastain spun out, which meant that AJ Allmendinger just pretty much had this race won. There was nobody else that could compete with him. But something that really caught my eye during this final few laps, and something that really pissed me off, Jeremy Clements and Jeb Burton, during the final laps of the race, they were running in the top 5 when they got penalized for apparently cutting the course. They showed the replay. I think NASCAR social media, because Fox never shows replays. NASCAR social media, so they had to come up. They came up clutch. They showed pictures and some video evidence of how Jeremy Clements and Jeff Burton, they quote unquote cut the course. And this is a bullshit call. That's a bullshit call. That was not out of bounds even. If they were racing like for some other guy for position, they would not. That little move going out of bounds, a bit out of bounds on the racetrack, that would not even affect their chances. They would not have gained. That would not have been the difference between them gaining a position or losing it. That was honestly like really a bullshit call. And according to some of the drivers and some of the people within the NASCAR industry, NASCAR removed the curbs because the drivers wanted to. Not really because the drivers wanted to. They removed the curbs, but the drivers were afraid that it would create these more judgment calls, because usually drivers use these curbs as a way of as some sort of signal to say, oh, if I go over the curb, that's considered out of bounds. If I go beyond the curb, that's considered out of bounds. Now that the curb is no longer there, then the drivers don't know what's out of bounds and what's in bounds. So this creates these judgment calls. But I know for a fact that, I'm going to say this, Jeremy Clements and Jeff Burton, they were not the only drivers to go out of bounds. It seems pretty suspicious of NASCAR to start penalizing teams now when they didn't do it earlier in the race. And the smaller teams at that. If it's like the bigger teams like the Joe Gibbs, the Colleagues, or the JR Motorsports, they get a warning of, hey, you went out of bounds, don't do that again, or you're gonna get penalized. But if it's one of the smaller teams, then nah, boom, you get penalized. Now I know I don't usually subscribe to this, like NASCAR being inconsistent and just protecting the bigger teams and harming the smaller teams narrative, but this is honestly something that really pissed me off, because I really believe NASCAR had it out for the smaller teams. Not only in this Xfinity race, but also throughout the Cup race as well. There were a few instances of that during the Cup race. But anyways, AJ Allmendinger, absolute masterclass of a race. He ends up winning this race. Kurt Busch and Joe Logano, they were very informative in the booth. They didn't make any jokes to one another. Which I really appreciated. No jokes necessary, all informative, which is really ironic, because Joe Logano and Kurt Busch, they were quote-unquote the color commentators. Adam Alexander is the play-by-play guy, as always. The fact that they didn't do any like color commentating, and the fact that they kept it strictly informative, well, their commentary wasn't as colorful as it was informative. again, this is something that doesn't really, it doesn't really annoy me. In fact, I actually loved it. But it's just something that really caught my eye because, like I said once again, it's always something about these Cup Series champions or these former Cup Series champions being so good in the broadcast booth. Like, it feels like when you are a Cup Series champion, you get some. You already know how to win not only races but also championships. So you have some more nuances of the inner workings of race cars and the like. And I know they're doing like commentary for the Xfinity race, but these Xfinity cars have a lot in common to the Gen 5 COT. So I feel like they're justified in doing the commentating, and also the composite bodies that the Xfinity series uses, they're also used in some capacity for the Gen 7 in the Cup series. So again, good job for them commentating, as always. Now for the Cup race, again, this is a race I was really looking forward to. Not only because it's the first road course race of the season, but also because, like I said, the first week and last year COTA weekend kind of doesn't count to me because NASCAR was an absolute. The officiating in that race was just absolutely shitty on NASCAR's part, to the point that people were saying, "Oh, never go back to COTA, please." And to that I said, "Come on, seriously? Number one, it's just 1 year. It's just 1 year. It's just the first year. And number two, it was rainy. Let's see next year when we return to COTA, if it's when it's gonna be dry, sunny. Let's see how the track races. Give COTA a chance, people." So anyways, how did the race go? Well, several guys went to the rear. There were lots of inspection failures in this race. Again, just like the Xfinity race, just like the truck race. I believe some of the guys who went to the rear were Andy Lally, Michael McDowell, Brad Keselowski, among others. Again, Keselowski especially, not a really good start for his quest for his quest to recover the 100 points he lost and getting back into the top 30 in points after that massive hammer NASCAR handed down to him on Thursday. But not a good start for him. But anyways, Ryan Blaney started on the pole with mi amigo Daniel Suarez in second place right alongside him. Unfortunately for Blaney, Suarez could not, he did not get to lead a single lap because Suarez took the lead and he ran away with stage 1 immediately. I gotta say, Trackhouse Racing is legit. Trackhouse Racing is legit. They are here to compete for wins, championship contention. I mean, right now they are the. I wouldn't be mad if you said they're the best team in NASCAR right now. I know Hendrick Motorsports, they have won 3 races. Actually, no, wait. Yeah, I'm gonna say Hendrick Motorsports is the best team in NASCAR still this season because they've won 3 of the first 5 races. But Trackhouse is right there. Trackhouse has an argument for being the second best team in NASCAR right now. And the fact that Suarez ran away with stage 1 and dominated is proof of that. Of course, there was strategy towards the end of the race. Most of the leaders stayed out for stage points. Most of them, except for Suarez. And I believe Blaney was there. Yeah, I think Blaney. Yeah, Blaney finished second too. So he finished right behind him in second. Now, similar to the Toyotas at Auto Club, the Chevrolet drivers, it was the Chevrolet drivers this time. Some of them were reporting overheating issues. Fortunately, none of them had to go for the same hell that the Toyotas went through in Auto Club. So So that's good, I guess. Chase Elliott spun Kyle Busch. He made a mistake. He locked the brakes up, and he got into the 18. Once again, Kyle Busch just cannot catch a break. Something always has to happen to that 18 team. And but most importantly, both Kyle Busch fans and Chase Elliott fans, two of the more passionate fan bases in NASCAR, to put it nicely, they went at each other's throats eventually. With Chase Elliott fans saying, with Chase Elliott fans just celebrating that Kyle Busch, that Chase Elliott spun out Kyle Busch. Chase Elliott fans just having it out for Kyle Busch. The fact that they haven't gotten over Darlington 2 years ago still baffles me. But also Kyle Busch fans, bringing up that said Darlington incident every time they say, in retaliation to those Chase Elliott fans, just back and forth banter between those two fan bases over some minor incident. You know how NASCAR fans are. Just, I try to steer away from that, from that fire, but the smoke is just too much to ignore sometimes. Speaking of smoke, Tony Stewart was in the booth, and he was really great. I loved his bluntness in criticizing NASCAR's calls and inconsistency. He was so unbiased. He was such a breath of fresh air, in contrast to Jeff Gordon last week, who is so happy-go-lucky, praising everybody and not wanting to, and trying to go out of his way to not criticize anyone. Tony Stewart is such a great contrast to Jeff Gordon. And now that I really think about it, I just talked myself into the idea of a Tony Stewart Jeff Gordon booth pairing. Now that I think about it, I kind of want to see it happen. I don't know if it's I don't want it necessarily to be on for a Cup race. It could be for an Xfinity race too. Although, to be fair, Jeff Gordon broadcasting and Xfinity race will be kind of awkward. But anyways, stage 2. Daniel Suarez got spun out immediately on the restart. My happiness was short-lived. I immediately went from 100 to 0 because Daniel Suarez had to claw his way back from that. And spoiler alert, he didn't. I believe he finished somewhere in the 20s. Unfortunately, he at least scored that stage 1 win, so that's 10 stage points for him. So still, kind of a good points day, I guess. Although, to be fair, finishing 24th, even if you win the stage, that's like an average points day at best. So anyways, with Suarez out of the running, that left Ross Chastain to carry the torch for Trackhouse in stage 2. And he had to do battle with another Penske driver, just like Suarez. This time it was Austin Cindric. And they both took the battle to pit road. I thought Chastain was going to win stage 2 because he had just gotten by Cindric. But the moment Chastain passed Cindric for the lead, they both went into pit road. And Cindric even gave Chastain a good old bump on the entry to pit road. It was pretty great. Also, once again, drivers getting penalized for shortcutting the course. Just like in the Xfinity race, that penalty was freaking bullshit. Loris Hessemans got penalized for that. I believe Andy Lally got penalized too. I don't know. I may be wrong. But I know Loris Hessemans got penalized for that, which, once again, it's a very bullshit penalty because shortcutting the course, as we saw much later with Chase Briscoe, it caused you a net loss of time. It meant that you will be losing time in relative to the leaders because Shortcutting the course is basically the same as going out of bounds and going like going way off the racetrack. So I don't understand why that penalty makes sense. Why would you want to penalize a driver that lost time and positions relative to the leader? That doesn't really make sense. Anyways, back to stage 2. All this shuffling, revolving door of leaders with pit strategy, it meant that Denny Hamlin finally won something this season. A stage win. Hamlin finally wins a stage. Hamlin fans, rejoice! Your season has finally turned around. Oh wait, not really. He got spun out late in the race and finished 18th. My bad. Okay. Moving on to stage 3. Stage 3 was really wild, I gotta say. It was even more insane than the truck race and the Xfinity race. Several cautions, once again, there were several cautions that stalled the racing. Some of them were warranted, some of them were, some bullshit debris cautions. There was even one caution where Joey Logano spun out. That was like the third time Logano has spun out. And man, Logano was all over the place this weekend, now that I think about it, because ever since he took the green flag as the leader in stage 2, the moment he locked the brakes up and blew the corner, nothing went right for him ever since. There was this caution that came out because Logano spun out into the gravel, and when he managed to get out the gravel under his own power, he left this trail of sand and gravel on the racetrack, and NASCAR deemed it as debris, and they decided that they were going to throw the yellow for that. And once again, debris cautions. Why do you gotta throw a full course yellow for debris? A local yellow will be more than fine. Anyways, Austin Cindric spinning. He almost hit Christopher Bell. On the same spot that Blaney spun in practice, Austin Cindric spun as well. And that also, I believe Christopher Bell trying to avoid Cindric. I think that damaged something in his steering. I think that messed up his steering, and he had to pit. He fell a lap down, but because of that many cautions, he managed to get to the free pass, and he finished in the top 5. Denny Hamlin, like I said, he also had steering issues. He didn't have to pit. Allmendinger also had steering issues, I believe. He reported some steering issues on the radio. But like Hamlin, he didn't pit, fortunately. The only driver that pitted for steering issues was Christopher Bell, and he managed to come back in the top 5. Another driver who couldn't catch a break was Eric Jones, as it feels like he has to cost a caution every single race. And then another driver that couldn't catch a break, Bubba Wallace, with a loose tire. The wheel, once again, the typical wheel comes off the race car, and the crew chief is gonna get suspended for 4 weeks. At this point I get it. I'm tired of this tire narrative. But if you're gonna live with that, I mean, you gotta tighten up those lock nuts, bro. If you know that you're gonna get suspended for 4 races for not tightening those lock nuts, why are you not tightening the lock nuts then? So anyways, those cautions, they derailed some what was otherwise good racing. Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, and Tyler Reddick once again found themselves 1, 2, 3, just like at Phoenix. The new big 3, as people love to call it, plus AJ Allmendinger, who was also in the mix as well. And now we get into yet another bad call by NASCAR. the caution that was brought out by Stenhouse. Stenhouse was still on the track, just like Eric Jones. But NASCAR waited way too long to throw that caution. And that allowed drivers like Martin Truex, Christopher Bell, and Kevin Harvick to kind of anticipate when the caution was going to come out. They kind of anticipated that there was going to be a yellow being thrown. And they decided to just big brain it and go to pit road before the pits were closed because the caution came out. So good on them for taking advantage of that. Bad on NASCAR for waiting to throw the caution for that long. And on the ensuing restart, another bad call by NASCAR. Briscoe gets pushed off and cuts the corner, and he loses positions, and then he gets penalized. But because he lost positions and because he would have been it would have been an even more harsher penalty if he got penalized on top of already losing positions. That was a good call by NASCAR. The fact that they rescinded his penalty, so good on them. At least they recognized that that penalty was really that rule was really BS, and I really hope that NASCAR really takes a look at their rule book for road course, or more specifically for COTA, because COTA is a very different circuit to the other. A very different road course to the typical Sonoma and Watkins Glen that you see NASCAR go to every year. So the race went into overtime eventually, and with Briscoe and Tyler Reddick eventually fading out a bit, it became once again Allmendinger versus Ross Chastain Part 2. Except this time Ross didn't get spun out late in the race, so he was able to battle Allmendinger for the lead this time. And could Ross hold him off? I mean, I know Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing, they have been fast, but can Ross Chastain hold off the AJ Allmendinger on a road course? On overtime? Well, they did battle in the final lap. They even did some bumping and banging. And Alex Bowman got there as well. And for a moment, I thought Bowman was going to steal that win. Another win again with all of that bumping and banging that Chastain and Allmendinger were doing. But then Chastain did the most tactical, one of the more legendary tactical moves of all time. He bumped Allmendinger. He gave Allmendinger the bumper. And Allmendinger got into Bowman and spun out. Allmendinger spun out, and Bowman went into the corner wide, and Ross Chastain just moved sail into his first career win. And just like that, Trackhouse Racing is officially a NASCAR Cup Series winning team. And Ross Chastain is a bona fide championship contender. I'm calling it now. With the way and how chaotic the start of this season has been, the fact that Chastain already won a race and has already 4 top 5s on the season, the only thing keeping him from the points lead is the fact that he finished dead last in the Daytona 500, and the fact that he had a subpar day at Auto Club 2. But these last 4 races have been just Chastain has been nothing short of amazing. And it's not a stretch to think that right now he is the best driver in NASCAR right now. At least this season. Like, best driver in NASCAR right now, that remains to be seen. But so far this season right now, through the first 6 races this season, it's not a stretch to think, it's not a stretch to say that Ross Chastain is the best driver right now. Also, Pitbull and Michael Jordan are winning team owners. We also have 6 different winners we also have 6 different winners this season now. 3 of them being first-time winners, and the other 3 being Hendrick Motorsports drivers. And this season is crazy. I mean, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, William Byron have won races, and Chase Elliott, who hasn't won a race, is the points leader. And then the other 3 drivers that are not from Hendrick Motorsports are former Brad Keselowski Racing drivers, because if you remember from 2013, Ross Chastain, he is a former Brad Keselowski Racing driver too. Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric, all of them are former BKR drivers, but they are also first-time Cup winners this season. So it's either a first-time Cup winner or a Hendrick Motorsports driver who has won each of the first 6 races of the season. Also, with Ross Chastain being a driver under 30 years old, the streak of drivers under 30 winning a Cup race has been extended now to 12 straight. So once again, NASCAR's youth movement still in full force. And you know, with the way Ross Chastain won and the way people in NASCAR are, you know, somebody had to open their mouth and say that what Ross Chastain did was a dirty move. And to that I say, didn't Allmendinger start bumping Chastain first? Didn't Allmendinger was the one who ran Chastain off the track at first? The moment he did that, it was anything goes. You can't bump someone without expecting a retaliation in return. That's not how it works. It's you hit me, I hit you back. Especially if it's the last lap, when it's anything goes. I know some people like try to keep it as clean as possible, even if it's the last lap. But the moment you put the bumper on somebody, if it's the last lap, it's anything goes at that point. Besides, all Chastain did was bump Allmendinger. The only reason Allmendinger spun was because Bowman was there. He hit Bowman and then spun around. If Bowman was not there, if Bowman wasn't racing with those guys and Chastain bumped Allmendinger, what would have happened is Allmendinger would have been sent off the racetrack. He would have gone wide, and he would have still finished second behind Chastain. But you know, because Alex Bowman was there and Allmendinger hit him, he spun out. You know, it's all situational, people. Chastain did it for a win. I don't see anything wrong with what Chastain did. Come on. But anyways, some highlights I like to mention. The pre-race ceremonies. Joe Gibbs was the one who gave the prayer, the invocation, and Michael Waltrip was the one who gave out the command. Again, this is something I pointed out last week in Atlanta. When Michael McDowell did the prayer invocation for the Truck Series race. I love it when NASCAR, when people within the NASCAR industry like Michael McDowell, Joe Gibbs, Michael Waltrip, I love it when people inside the NASCAR industry get involved with the pre-race ceremonies, like with the invocation, the prayer, the command to start the engines. You know, I just love that. That's just some pet peeve I have, but it just makes me feel like the people within the industry are really invested in the sport when they are the ones directly involved in pre-race. It just kind of fills me with some inner satisfaction. Literally though, that was the only good thing to come out of the pre-race, because everything else was cringe. Fox was cringe, and I know for a fact it was because I went to Twitter before the race. I don't even waste my time with the pre-race because, again, that's cringe as hell. Fox also, once again, they have been 0 for 6 as far as the coverage goes. They missed a lot of incidents all weekend long. They missed a lot of pit penalties. Most of the action of what happened to this driver, what happened to that driver, I had to see it from I had to see it. I had to wait until Bob Pockras tweeted it, or I had to ask him himself, because otherwise I would be left in the dark. Of course, the aforementioned course penalties and the like, you know. They also missed a few incidents, like a spin from Kyle Larson, not the one that he was involved in stage 3, like one that happened, I believe it was earlier in the race. They missed one of those spins, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I wouldn't be surprised if NASCAR missed, if it came out that NASCAR missed a lot of more spins. I know for a fact that they missed something that happened with Kyle Busch on the last lap. According to NASCAR Twitter, Kyle Busch spun off of Tyler Reddick in the last lap. Again, this was according to NASCAR Twitter. I had to do some digging just to find out if all of this was true. Clearly it wasn't. Kyle Busch, what really happened was Kyle Busch got loose on the last lap. He spun out, and then after he got it straight, then he got spun out again by Harrison Burton. So he basically spun out on the last lap. He got a double whammy. So yeah, Kyle Busch just cannot catch a break this season, man. And he ended up finishing 28th. I was kind of left in the dark because I saw Kyle Busch running in the top 10, but then in the finishing results, I saw he was 28th, and I was like, whoa, what happened? But yeah, overall, if I were to give a letter grade to this weekend, I would give it a B. I was thinking on a B plus at best, but then again, as great as this weekend was, there are a lot of underlying issues that still need to be resolved, like most notably the full course yellows and the stage cautions. I don't like stage cautions at road courses. Get rid of them. And the full course yellows, we don't need full course yellows for debris. A local yellow will be more than fine. And of course, with him scoring his first career win and leading the most laps in the process, Ross Chastain is the driver of the day for me. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like to me the case is pretty open and shut. Ross Chastain, driver of the day. But anyways, to wrap all of this up, there is this thought that started creeping into my head as this weekend started unfolding, and especially after what happened last year, it's pretty crazy for me. This is kind of a crazy take for me, but I think that COTA is the best road course on the schedule. I really think it is, because the restarts are wild. The racing is good when they're actually racing under green. If I really want to see a long green flag run at COTA with pit strategy and all that, and to see how the racing would unfold, because I feel the racing at COTA will be much more, a full race at COTA under green will be so much more interesting and so much better than the race at under green, like going like at Sonoma or Watkins Glen or something like that. COTA is just a really skill heavy road course, and it combines the chaos of the restarts with the technical mastery of what you would expect from road courses. I mean, this is a race. This is the venue for the US Grand Prix in Formula One. So this is a world-class road course. This is not just some road course, some random road course. This is Circuit of the Americas, a world-class road course that the Formula One goes to every year. So again, I kind of feel like this is kind of a hot take because there's only been one, because I'm basing this off of one good weekend, but I kind of feel like that's the case as of right now. I can't think of a better road course right now than COTA. So yeah, that's it. Bye.